Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So here come the Hostetter, as I've told you. I'm talking about 47-year-old Army veteran and Southern California resident who used to be a police chief. Then he became a yoga instructor and somehow turned into a right-wing activist who was allegedly calling for people to be executed after the election. Basically, anyone who refused to overturn the election for Donald Trump. In the last update I shared with you guys, Hostetter had requested that he be allowed to represent himself in court. The judge reluctantly agreed. He placed a court-appointed attorney on standby just in case Hostetter needed assistance. And now Hostetter has filed a motion and he's asking the court to dismiss all charges against him for, quote, outrageous government misconduct. That's what he's alleging. Hostetter is also now alleging that some of his co-defendants are actually government informants, and he's asking the court to sever his case from the conspiracy case in which they're all charged as a group. So here's the deal. First of all, and this part isn't going to shock you guys, but Hostetter repeated election conspiracy theories in this filing. He talked about how awe-inspiring it was, that's his words, to have been, quote, in a crowd of patriots and to have honorably and peacefully protested against this literal communist / globalist overthrow of the United States government and the people of our great nation. Then Hostetter went on to throw his co-defendant, Russell Taylor, under this conspiracy bus. In his motion, Hostetter stated that Taylor was, quote, the one primarily engaged in making extreme comments and taking extreme action at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. It was Russell Taylor who was organizing fighters in chat rooms leading up to the event. And it was Russell Taylor who was visibly and for effect displaying weapons, body armor, a Kevlar helmet, and a gas mask, even when not necessary for all the world to see. Now, keep in mind, Taylor wasn't just someone who attended this attack with Hostetter. This was not just some random person who went along for the ride. Taylor co-founded an organization with Hostetter called the American Phoenix Project. This was his partner. That so-called nonprofit group that organized pro-Trump, anti-mask, anti-lockdown rallies was founded by Hostetter and Taylor together. But as soon as things get sideways, Hostetter's like, oh, no, must be deep state, must be an FBI informant. In fact, Hostetter alleges that all of this was, quote, a classic FBI counterintelligence program operation. And he claims that he was targeted because of the anti-COVID protests that they both took part in. And yes, I know informants take part in things, but this guy is not an informant. Hostetter wrote in this motion that, quote, the government attempted to concoct, direct, and supervise the enterprise from start to finish. And even through their incessant efforts to direct defendant into criminal activity, he never engaged in criminal activity. So he's talking about himself as the defendant. Yeah, guy, you did take part in criminal activity. That's why you were arrested. That's why you're representing yourself in a court of law. I guess it hasn't dawned on him that if he didn't take part in criminal activity, he wouldn't be in a court of law. And let me remind you guys what the Department of Justice said when they arrested Hostetter and the others. They said, quote, At approximately 2:20 p.m., Taylor and Hostetter joined rioters on the Lower West Terrace who were pushing through the line of law enforcement officers. Taylor was carrying a knife in his front chest pocket of his plate carrier vest and urged other rioters before pushing through the police line and moving up the steps onto the Upper West Terrace. So they were together. He saw Taylor carrying this weapon. And they say that Hostetter also was yelling things to the crowd, that he was yelling out to push forward. So, and they were at the Lower West Terrace. Remember what happened there. Remember what was going on, all of the violence that took place. That was where some of the most egregious acts of violence took place that day. Oh, and Hostetter, not Taylor, gave a speech the day before, which arguably was meant to incite an uprising, as well as the speeches that he gave in the months leading up to January 6th, where he literally called for the execution of anyone who disagreed with his stolen election fantasies. But it was all a setup. And Taylor isn't the only one that Hostetter is turned on, that he's throwing under this bus. He's also now claiming that he doesn't even know the other 4 defendants in this case, all of whom are 3%er militia members, also Southern California residents. I don't know whether he knew them or not, but I would find it hard to believe that in all of these rallies he did, he never met these men before. And he outed someone who hasn't even been arrested yet. Someone, by the way, who has a lot of money and clout in Orange County, California. The person I'm referring to is Morton Irvine Smith. He is a member of the uber wealthy, well-known Irvine family that owns the Irvine Company in Orange County, California. And let me tell you guys, I've lived in this area my whole life. The Irvine Company owns or has sold an ungodly amount of land in Orange County. It is hard to overstate how much of the county is controlled by the Irvine Company and the Irvine family in some way, shape, or form. And apparently, this Morton Irvine Smith was a board member of Hostetter's American Phoenix Project. But Hostetter now alleges that this guy is also a government informant. I mean, of course, just as with Trump's lawsuits, though, Hostetter hasn't actually provided any evidence in court. He's just making allegations of a government sting, right? But he's not actually providing proof. So I guess he figured, well, it worked out so well for Trump with his lawsuits. Oh, wait, no, it didn't, did it? Anyway, he apparently was ranting in this motion. He was talking again about secret societies. He specifically mentioned again Freemasonry, Skull and Bones. And then he was complaining about Scientologists and Mormons. I just keep wondering, where are their families? Where are the families of these people, of these nut jobs who keep destroying their lives for Trump by believing in his lies and then by trying to pretend that they're attorneys, acting as their own defense attorneys? Can't anyone get through to these people? Can't anyone talk sense into them? Or, do they just drive everybody away with their lunacy? So I don't know. Anyway, if you're a family member of one of these people, please step forward. Would love to talk to you. Would love to have you on the show. But I'll let you guys know when I hear more. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.